On the spin, fires for the win! Got it!
The 30, the 20,
If he scores, it's over.
It's insane. One of the greatest postseason performers ever.
Here's Carroll. He's got it. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are headed to the World Series.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the AZ Sports Podcast. My name is Kevin Humpherys, and today we are talking all Diamondbacks, all Phoenix Suns, and all things Arizona Cardinals. We are live. It is 9:33 a.m. Phoenix time, and we have a lot to get into. It's going to be a long podcast episode, so I hope you tune in, stay locked in, and it's an exciting time. Training camp for the Arizona Cardinals has kicked off officially. The Phoenix Suns just held their introductory press conference for Miles Bridges, and the Arizona Diamondbacks won another series in dominating fashion. At least they won dominantly yesterday against just the Athletics. They're not the Oakland Athletics. They're not the Sacramento Athletics. They're not the Las Vegas Athletics. They're just the Athletics right now. So let's get into it. The Arizona Diamondbacks are back in the final wildcard spot in the National League. The Arizona Diamondbacks have won 8 out of their last 10 games, with 3 wins over the Dodgers, 1 win over the Padres, 2 series wins against St. Louis and the Athletics after losing the first game of each series. So they lost their first game and then won the last 2. They're peaking at the right time right now, and they will need even more offensive firepower from the bottom of the order to continue to stay in this race. The Athletics series was a microcosm of what this entire season has been. First, it was started by a guy that we did not expect to pitch for the Arizona Diamondbacks this season. Mitch Bratt gave up 8 hits, but only 2 runs. And he had a lot of guys on base, but once he got the guys on base, he was able to get them out for the most part. In the first game, Joshua Kuroda Grauer fouled the ball off of his midsection, is what they said on the broadcast, but he had a ruptured testicle, stayed in the game and singled, and then later got emergency surgery. Then in this game, the Diamondbacks fell victim to, I think, the worst officiated challenge. Gabriel Moreno took a ball. It was in the strike zone, but it was called a ball, and they had, I believe it was Perdomo stealing second. The catcher throws the ball to second to try and get the runner out. The ball gets into the outfield, so Perdomo advances to third. Gabriel Moreno is on his way to first base because he was walked. And then, after standing there for a couple seconds, then the catcher taps his head asking for a challenge. And for some reason, the umpire gives him the challenge, and Gabriel Moreno is called out. So instead of first and third with 1 out, it's one guy on third with 2 outs, and the Diamondbacks rally ended at 2 runs to tie the game 2-2. Then, after losing all that momentum, the Diamondbacks gave up 3 runs in the 7th inning. Kevin Ginkel was responsible for all 3 earned runs, and the Diamondbacks lost 5-2. The Athletics had 15 hits in this game and only gave up 5 runs, so good defense from the Diamondbacks to even keep the game as close as it was. The Diamondbacks got on base themselves 10 times and were only able to drive in 2 runs. Feels like the Diamondbacks kind of struggle out of the gates in some of these series recently, especially post All-Star break, where they come out flat. The offense isn't playing very well in the first game of the series, and then with their backs against the wall, they play their best baseball for the next 2 games. The second game of the series was controlled by the Diamondbacks from the start to almost the finish. Left-hander from AAA Reno, acquired in the Merrill Kelly trade from the Rangers last year. Cole Drake made his MLB debut for the Diamondbacks on Tuesday, where he allowed 1 run in 5 innings pitched. That third inning got a little hairy where he gave up a run, had the bases loaded with no outs, but again, more defensive, just tremendous defensive play from the Diamondbacks infield resulted in no other runs being scored. And then the 4th and 5th inning, he went out there and did his job. It just goes to show you what a good defense can do for a young pitcher or a struggling pitcher, because even in a bases loaded jam that Cole Drake was in the 3rd inning on Tuesday, he was still able to hold the Athletics to 1 run. And the Athletics have a good offensive team. Cole Drake looked pretty impressive outside of that 3rd inning, and I believe that he's probably in line to get even more starts. He, Jose Cabrera, and Mitch Bratt are the 3 young guys in this Diamondbacks farm system that are probably going to get the majority of the starts and the innings without Michael Soroka, Zach Gallen, Ryan Nelson, Corbin Burns in the lineup right now. The Diamondbacks got a 3-0 lead early in this game in the 1st inning, where Max Kepler went yard and put the Diamondbacks up 3-0. It was a 3-run home run with 2 outs. So hitting with runners in scoring position, hitting with 2 outs, something that the Diamondbacks desperately need, and Max Kepler was able to get it done. And then nothing happened. It was a 3-1 ball game until the bottom of the 7th, where Ketel Marte hit a sacrifice fly that I believe scored Ildemaro Vargas, or maybe it was Jorge Barosa, in the bottom of the 7th to give the Diamondbacks a 4-1 lead. Then Ryan Thompson in the top of the 8th gave up 1 run. He got hit pretty hard, but escaped that inning with 1 run. And then, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, you've heard this story before. Paul Sewald came into the 9th inning, gave up a triple and then a home run, and it was a tie game 4-4. Look, we've been so happy about Paul Sewald and his ability to close games for the Diamondbacks this year. The ERA hasn't been great because of non-save situations. He's played really poorly, but now things are starting. They're starting to fracture in save situations. I believe he's blown 2 saves in the last 2 weeks. And luckily, the Diamondbacks were still able to go on and win this game in extra innings, thanks to Kevin Ginkel, who allowed the ghost runner to score in a 1-2-3 top of the 10th inning. It was a grounder, advanced the runner to 3rd, and then a fly out. The runner was able to tag and go home. Then Kevin Ginkel got the final out of the inning as well. So the Diamondbacks were down 5-4. They're 3-5 before this in extra inning games. So these games decided by the thinnest of margins. Diamondbacks continually have not been able to end up on the right side of these games. But Gabriel Moreno was up so it was Corbin Carroll on second as the ghost runner, and then Gabriel Moreno and Max Kepler each worked walks to start the 10th inning to load the bases. Then Nolan Arenado, who's on a extremely hot stretch right now, single to score Corbin Carroll. Tawa struck out, and then it brought up Ildemaro Vargas, who had one of the more incredible walk-off hits that you'll ever see. He was swinging from the left side of the plate and took his bat shoulder height and was able to knock one out of out of the infield and into the outfield to single and score Gabriel Moreno. So the Diamondbacks won in extra innings 6-5 to really not. Every game feels like, oh, they saved the season, but to lose 2 games to the Athletics before this daunting road trip that's coming up, it would have felt like an absolute gut punch to this team. And then yesterday afternoon against the Athletics, the Diamondbacks had their best offensive performance of the season, where they scored 15 runs in a 15-5 rout. The Diamondbacks bullpen was so depleted that Torey Lovullo turned to Ildemaro Vargas to pitch in the 9th inning because he needed to save his bullpen arms. And what was great about this game yesterday was the power surge that we got from the Diamondbacks. I'm sure there was lots of power outages all over the valley because of how hard the Diamondbacks were hitting the baseball yesterday. The Diamondbacks hit, I believe it was 5 home runs yesterday. And it started with a Corbin Carroll home run and then a Nolan Arenado home run to get the Diamondbacks up 2-1. Then Merrill Kelly gave up a home run later in the 5th inning. And then in the bottom of the 5th inning, Marte scored on a wild pitch. Gabriel Moreno homered 427 feet. Then Ildemaro Vargas doubled to center, which scored Arenado. McCann homered to left center 431 feet, and which also scored Vargas. And then Ryan Waldschmidt hit his first career home run at the major league level. That one went 426 feet. Then in the bottom of the 6th inning, Corbin Carroll scored on a wild pitch. McCann singled to left. Moreno scored. Vargas advanced to second, and Arenado went to third. Tawa doubled to center, which scored Arenado and Vargas and got McCann to third. Then Waldschmidt hit a sacrifice fly to James McCann. So that got the Diamondbacks up to 14 runs. They tacked on a later run. They were up 15-2 before Ildemaro Vargas gave up 3 runs in the final inning. A gutsy call by Torey, because you throw in a position player and you could easily give up 8 runs in that situation, and all of a sudden it's a 15-10 game. But it did not go down like that, and the Diamondbacks were able to save Brandon Garcia for today's game, which first pitch is in a few hours against the St. Louis Cardinals. But in today's game, which is going to be very important because of how good Garcia has been, and the Diamondbacks are going to need him to pitch a lot today. Not as a starter, but definitely he'll definitely pitch late into the game in this one. So here's the good news about the Arizona Diamondbacks is where they're at in the MLB standings. They're 53-49, and they're 3 games back of the Philadelphia Phillies and 4.5 games back of the Chicago Cubs in the wild card spot. They're 11 games back of the Dodgers, so I don't think we're going to be catching those guys anytime soon, which is fine. What matters is that when we play the Dodgers, we don't get swept or completely demolished by the Dodgers later on in the season. And so the Diamondbacks right now are half a game ahead of a bunch of teams looking to get into the wild card race. So the St. Louis Cardinals are 52-49. The Arizona Diamondbacks are 53-49. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 53-50. The Miami Marlins are 52-50. The Washington Nationals are 52-51. The San Diego Padres are 50-51 and are 2.5 games back of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then you have the Cincinnati Reds, who are 47-54 and are 5.5 games back. So that's really the wild card race as it stands right now for the National League. And the Arizona Diamondbacks have a chance to put some real distance between themselves and the rest of those National League wildcard teams that are on the outside looking in. They have a game against the Cardinals tonight, where if they win that game, then that puts even more distance between them and the Cardinals. They already have a series of the season series win. So even if the Diamondbacks lose this game, they'll still win the tiebreaker if it came down to that at the end of September. Then the Diamondbacks play the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Washington Nationals on this 10-game four-city road trip. After playing one game in St. Louis, the Diamondbacks head to Washington and play a team that they lost a series 2-1 in Arizona, and the Diamondbacks need to go in and win at least 2 games against the Nationals, who have one of probably the best offense in baseball, but have one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball. So they need to go in, continue to score, and continue to play their absolute best baseball. They have Eduardo Rodriguez going against the Nationals. So hopefully he can bounce back from his lackluster performance in his last start, and he can get things going there. And then after they play the Nationals, they play the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are a half a game back of the Diamondbacks. So they can go in, and if they can win both of these series against the Nationals and the Pirates and win a game against the Cardinals, they can put 2 to 3 to 4 games of separation in between those teams, not to mention if they're able to beat the Nationals and beat the Pirates 2 out of 3, I believe it evens both of those season series, which would be huge going down the stretch because you don't want to be on the wrong end of a tiebreaker situation. Now, the Diamondbacks still could because their run differential isn't great, and they might have bad records where you're not supposed to have bad records in tie-breaking situations, but at least it won't come down to straight up the Pirates beat the Diamondbacks more times and the Nationals beat the Diamondbacks more times. That would be great for the Diamondbacks if they could position themselves to at least be tied or lead all of these season series against fellow National League wildcard competitors. Now, you might be saying, Kevin, that's ambitious. That's ambitious, and you're right. It is. It is ambitious, but I have some stats for you that should give you some hope that the Diamondbacks have turned their season around and can continue to play really high-level baseball. So, since the All-Star break, the Diamondbacks are 5th in runs scored. And in the last 15 days, they are 1st in runs scored. And guess what? This is still when Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll have been struggling. Ketel Marte hit his first home run in July on Monday against the Oakland Athletics, and Corbin Carroll hit just his second home run against the Oakland Athletics in the month of July. And Geraldo Perdomo has been inconsistent at best at the plate and has not had the same power he had last year. So with the Diamondbacks' top 3 struggling, it's been the bottom of the lineup that's carried them. Gabriel Moreno is leading the way over the last 15 days. He has 15 hits as well as 8 walks and is batting .350 from the plate. Incredible. Nolan Arenado was chasing 2,000 career hits, finally got it, and has been crushing the baseball ever since. He's caught fire and has 12 hits and 8 walks, which shows that his approaches at the plate have been really, really good. And he has been one of the Diamondbacks' leading RBI hitters recently, which has been really good because the Diamondbacks have needed guys to hit with runners in scoring position. And Arenado has done the best of those guys, of any of the guys on the team. And then we've also seen a power surge from Tim Tawa, who has 12 hits, 4 doubles, and 3 home runs over the last 15 days. Ildemaro Vargas has 10 hits, including 2 doubles and a triple. Max Kepler has 8 hits and 8 appearances over the last 15 days. and has had some really good at-bats, especially the one on Tuesday to walk, get on base. He battled in that one. He was showing bunt. It was a 3-2 count. He fouled off pitches, finally worked a walk. It was an incredible at-bat that I believe really won the game for the Diamondbacks to load the entire bases and advance Corbin Carroll from second to third. And then we've also seen in just 3 games since returning from injury, James McCann has hit 3 home runs and has 6 hits in just 3 games. So James McCann is knocking the baseball around. Hopefully we see a lot more of James McCann going forward because of how well he's been hitting the baseball. I mean, just colossal home runs. And so it's been those guys at the bottom of the lineup that have been doing the work for the Diamondbacks on offense. And it's been really impressive to watch this team string together some really, really impressive innings, starting against the Dodgers, continuing against the St. Louis Cardinals, and then they exploded yesterday against the Oakland Athletics, which has been really good. And the good news is for the Diamondbacks is that they've scored less than 5 runs in this 10-game streak that they're on right now. They've scored 3 runs once in a win, and then they've scored, give it a second to load, they scored 4 runs in a loss against St. Louis, and they scored 2 runs in a loss against the Athletics. But since then, they've scored 15 runs, 6 runs, 5 runs, 8 runs, 5 runs. So they've been doing a better job. If the Diamondbacks can get to 5 or 6 runs, I feel really good about them winning most games because I believe that their defense is so good and that their starting pitching and bullpen has been just good enough to keep teams to 4 to 5 runs. If they're able to do that, if they're able to score 5 to 6 runs a game, I think that they can go on a real hot stretch to end the season. Now against the Nationals, they might have to win some high scoring games. They might have to win a game 10-8 to win the series. They're going to need some really, really standout performances from their pitching staff. And the bullpen is extremely depleted right now. They have a lot of guys who are getting shut down every other day just because of how much they've been called on to pitch, because guys like Mitch Bratt and guys like Cole Drake and Merrill Kelly hasn't been able to pitch late into games. Brandon Pfaadt is still trying to get stretched out. So right now, the Diamondbacks rotation, outside of Eduardo Rodriguez, none of these guys are really able to go more than 5 innings, which is putting a lot of stress on the bullpen. They're going to need Brandon Pfaadt to go 6 full innings today to kind of help this bullpen out. And then you're going to need, hopefully you can get Garcia in an inning. The Diamondbacks can hopefully get a guy like Kevin Ginkel in. Hopefully they can get Paul Sewald in to close it and go from there. But the Diamondbacks bullpen, they really need a strong 10 games from this bullpen to secure at least over 500 record on the road over the next 10 games. They desperately need the bullpen to stay healthy and to not be too overutilized, so that they can remain one of the better bullpens in baseball, not the best. And hopefully at some point down the road they can get the reinforcements from the injured guys like Puck and Martinez at some point, or maybe we see some other guys from AAA come up and pitch really well. Maybe if Soroka is ever able to come back, they can move one of these guys like Mitch Bratt or Cole Drake into a reliever role. But right now it's all hands on deck for this bullpen, and it's all hands on deck for the starting rotation, because if the Diamondbacks need this pitching to show up for 10 more games on the road It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a long road trip, 4 cities, 10 games. It's going to be maybe their most difficult stretch of the season. It's definitely their most important stretch of the season because when they get back from this road trip, it will be Monday, August 3rd, and it will be trade deadline days. They need to be playing their best baseball right now so that Mike Hazen can go out and get another reliever arm. He can go out and get an everyday first baseman that can match. He can go out there and get a lefty DH like Jock Peterson. And we're going to break it all down for you here on this AZ Sports podcast. We're going to break down who the Diamondbacks should go after, who they should give up. We're going to have all of that for you going forward. There's going to be a lot of coverage from all media sites, me included, about what the Diamondbacks should do and are going to do at the trade deadline. So I'm excited to watch this Diamondbacks run because I do think in the next 10 games, I do think that they're going to manage to go 5-4. We didn't talk a whole lot about the Cleveland Guardians, but that's who they play. That's who they play at the end of next week on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday to close out July and begin August. They play the Cleveland Guardians, who are an okay team, bad offense, good pitching. That's who the Guardians are. Hopefully, if the Diamondbacks haven't played well on the road trip, that they can at least salvage it with a good series win or sweep against the Guardians if everything else goes poorly. But hopefully the Diamondbacks can go forward. They can win 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. They can win 2 out of 3 against the Pirates. They can beat St. Louis. And if they do that, they put themselves in a great, great position to make the playoffs and to buy at the trade deadline. And if everyone comes back, if Jordan Lawler can come back, if we see guys like Corbin Burns, Ryan Nelson, Zach Gallen, Michael Soroka, if especially Soroka and Burns and Nelly, if those 3 guys can come back, that would be huge for the pitching rotation. If we get Justin Martinez and AJ Puck back to help bolster the bullpen, we got Justin Martinez closing games. And then if we can get Jordan Lawler back, he'll provide another boost on offense, not to mention if the Diamondbacks are able to go out and buy a left-handed DH first baseman kind of player that can really, really hit for power, which I think is something that the Diamondbacks team needs, is a guy hitting for power from first base. If we can get that, this Diamondbacks team, like I've said before on this podcast, is going to be an absolute weapon, an absolute threat to make another deep run in the National League playoffs. They're not going to be the favorites, and they might end up being the 6th seed, but we've seen teams go on these kind of runs before all the time throughout baseball. And it's going to be a team that teams haven't seen all season either, because no one's seen what this roster can look like, should look like with guys healthy, with Corbin Burns, AJ Puck, Justin Martinez, Jordan Lawler, a fully functioning top 3 of Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, Corbin Carroll. If those guys can kind of wake up and all 3 get it going at the same time, join Gabriel Moreno and Nolan Arenado in being productive offensive players again. Like, if we can get everything firing at the right time, we can be one of the best teams in baseball, which is really exciting as Diamondbacks fans. I hope it's going to happen. We're going to find out. Okay, let's move on to the Phoenix Suns. And in case you missed it yesterday, the Phoenix Suns held the introductory press conference for Miles Bridges. Well, it was just 2 people at the table. It was Brian Gregory and it was Miles Bridges. And they answered questions for about 30 minutes, which was really good to see that the Suns didn't try and rush all the questions. They they made sure to make the time to make sure that everyone was able to ask questions. Everyone was able to, um, kind of pick apart this son's move and ask Brian Gregory and Miles Bridges about it. And so, if you don't know the Miles Bridges story and situation, Miles Bridges was accused of domestic violence on his wife, and it was also in the presence of his children with his wife. Uh, I believe in 2022, 2023, and he was suspended from the NBA. He uh, didn't play for an entire season, pled no contest in court, and sought counseling, sought treatment, um, returned to play for the Charlotte Hornets on a qualifying offer the next season. And so just a bad situation, a situation that's going to stick with Miles Bridges for the rest of his life. A situation that if you're a Suns fan and you feel kind of gross cheering for Miles Bridges on your team, I can't blame you at all. At all. Because this is serious stuff, and it's important to it's important in sports that we hold these athletes to a high standard, a high level of conduct because they're public figures and because they're representatives of our communities. It's not just that they make a lot of money, but it's that they represent our community uh, in everyday life. And so the Suns trading and bringing in Miles Bridges into the organization, into the community, uh, it isn't a great look. Honestly, it isn't a great look, and it's definitely a gamble. It's a gamble uh, that this organization is making. That Miles Bridges is not going to continue to have any off court issues. And if he does, it's going to be a really bad look on this Suns ownership group. And it's going to be a really bad look for this team. And it's going to be a maybe even it could possibly turn out even worse than the Kevin Durant trade turned out for Matt Ishbia. It's a huge, huge risk because of who Miles Bridges has been in the past and what he could do in the future. And the good news about this press conference is that they answered it. But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love all the answers. Um, I wish Miles Bridges had been more specific about how he had improved and what he has done in the community specifically and how he has made amends with the situation. There was he a lot of times he said, I'm excited to be here. I'm prioritizing being a better man every day, mainly off the court and on the court. I know me coming in I know me coming to a new community that really don't know me like that. Um, he says it's mixed feelings about me being here. Obviously, I'm committed to the community. I'm comfortable with where I'm at right now. I know I'm a good person. Like these are some of the quotes from the press conference. And I really want, and he said that he helped with charitable organizations uh, in Charlotte and was always in the community trying to do right in the community. But he never, uh, it wasn't as specific as I wanted it to be. I didn't, I felt like he was remorseful for what he had done. I feel like he knows he has to be better, but he just said the same thing over and over and over again. Um, which it's a press conference, you kind of have to do that. But I would have loved to have seen a little bit more specifics from him, specifically in how he's improved as a person. Like how he kept saying, I'm trying to be the best person I can be off the court. Well, how? How, Miles? Like, I feel like we didn't really hear the how. I feel like we didn't hear the how. That's what was missing, was how. He says what he's going to do. He says why he's going to do it. He says he says who he's going to work with, but I just want to know the how with this. And so, but overall, I was encouraged that they did not run from the questions. There were some tough questions asked. The Suns media that were in that room, they asked the right questions. I don't think there were any hard hitting questions that were left unsaid. Everyone was specific and poignant, and it was a tiny small step in the right direction for Suns fans, kind of feeling betrayed by the organization for doing this. Now let's look at Brian Gregory's quotes and what he's promised the Suns community and what he said about Miles Bridges specifically. And I thought this was the most interesting quote from the entire press conference. Miles has taken responsibility for his action. He's shown remorse for those actions. He's grown through counseling and is continually doing things on a daily basis for his personal growth. He has also made a commitment to become the best man and the best father that he can be. I have no question at all that he understands the responsibility of what our organization's expectations and values are. We will hold him accountable to the same high standards of everybody that is part of the Phoenix Suns organization. There will be no wavering on that. Trust is earned, not given. Miles understands he has to earn trust. We conducted a thorough evaluation of where we looked at the seriousness of that. Miles understands ultimately he's going to be judged by his daily conduct moving forward. We talked to everyone. So it's a strong message that Brian Gregory is sending. He's saying we're going to hold Miles accountable and he's not going to be a bad representative of the community. And I hope that that's true. I really hope that Miles Bridges is a pillar in the community. I hope that he goes on to be one of the greatest Suns players in the organization's history. I hope he can do what he said and help Devin Booker get a championship ring that he so much deserves. I hope that he's able to do all of that, but first, Miles is going to have to show through his off the court behavior. He's going to have to stay far, far away from any more allegations. And there was one recently in the last month where he and his ex-wife filed complaints against each other, and we're going to have the circus with Miles Bridges has to end when he's in a Phoenix Suns uniform. There can be honestly zero tolerance because the Suns have said that they have a zero tolerance policy. There was one quote from Miles Bridges that I thought stood out to me. He said, "I've been at rock bottom before and I've had to work my way back up. I've learned to be committed to one thing, being great off the court and being great on the court. I want to prove the Suns right." So I hope Miles Bridges proves the Suns right. And Miles Bridges, this is a guy who has been coached by Brian Gregory before. Brian Gregory was an assistant coach at Michigan State when Miles Bridges played for the Spartans back in 2016 and 2017. So Brian Gregory, this is a guy who's known Miles Bridges for a long time. He said that they did the homework on Bridges. He said that they talked to everyone in Charlotte's organization, talked to the people around him, talked to his old high school and AAU coaches, obviously talked to Tom Izzo, I'm sure, about this move. And so they tried to talk to as many people as possible. I believe that they did that. And Brian Gregory, I trust Brian Gregory so far. So if he's if he's betting on Miles Bridges being a great Phoenix Suns, I'm going to go ahead and give Brian Gregory the benefit of the doubt that they did all of those things, and that because he knows Bridges and because he's familiar with who he is and the entire situation, that he'll be able to that he made the right choice here. Because if the Suns made the wrong choice here, it is going to be detrimental to the franchise on the court and off the court. It's going to burn bridges with lots of fans, and it already has. It already has, and they're going to have to answer for it if things go sideways. And it probably, this is a type of move that will leave a stain. Not just it will leave a stain on Matt Ishbia. It will leave a stain on Brian Gregory, and it will leave a stain on the organization. If they traded a lot of value for this guy and he doesn't hold up his end of the bargain, and he doesn't prove the Suns right. Now, there was another part to the press conference, which was the basketball fit on the court. And this is what Brian Gregory said about that. He's a perfect fit for how we play as a team. Grit, toughness, energy, a unique skill set on our roster. He fits. He fills a need. He has physicality and versatility. Most important thing with Bridges was that he was a culture fit. He has a daily work ethic. He told a story about how when he was in summer league, Miles was looking for a new place of residence in Arizona and wanted to get a late night workout on a Saturday night. He believes that Miles Bridges is a good spot up 3-point shooter. And here's what Miles said about fitting. He said that he was able to hang out with the guys at Summer League and feels like he's a good fit. He said, "I've always been a fan of Book, probably one of the most underrated players in the league. If anyone deserves it, I think Book deserves a ring." He says he's a willing passer. He still hasn't been to the playoffs. And so his on the court fit, I am pretty excited about. Now, does he perfectly fit with Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and Devin Booker? No, I think that's a lot of shots. Maybe not the most efficient scoring guys, but I do believe that I believe that they think Devin Booker and Miles Bridges are going to be two really good playmakers on this roster. I think that they believe that Miles Bridges is going to show a lot of connectivity, an ability to play make, an ability to get to the rim and finish and create for others and create easier shots for Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green. I also think that they are going to be able to figure it out with Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green and get Dillon Brooks to be okay doing less and get Jalen Green to be okay doing less, and to being more strategic and less inefficient scores going forward, whether that's taking better shots. I believe that the Suns think that that's going to happen. Do I think that's going to happen? No, not necessarily. I do think that this is going to be an extremely athletic team, a good defensive team. I think Bridges is going to up his level of play on the defensive end of the floor because of Jordan Knott and because of the system that he's going to be in. He has continuity playing with Mark Williams, and it sounded like, according to Bridges, that Mark Williams was really excited for Miles to be in Phoenix. And that's a good sign. And from the jump, I've never thought that Miles Bridges was going to have a problem fitting into the Suns locker room. I think he does have a lot of characteristics as a basketball player that the Suns want. Being a good rebounder, a guy who plays hard, a guy who works relentlessly. those three things are what the Suns look for in a basketball player. And so I think that he's going to be a good cultural fit. He's willing to get in scrums on the floor too. He's not ever going to back down. We've seen him in a few altercations throughout the course of his career. So as a basketball character, culture fit, I think Miles Bridges is what the Suns were looking for and what they need. It's really the off-court stuff that they need to salvage. They need to show that it's all past. And so I'm excited about the basketball fit of Miles Bridges. I'm not excited for him actually putting on a Suns uniform and for what that'll mean and what it kind of signals to everyone that this organization is willing to overlook situations like Bridges to get a few more wins. And is it worth it? I mean, we're going to find out real quick. And giving up that 2023 lottery pick, hopefully it's worth it for the Suns because it's a very valuable pick. And this is what Gregory said about trading the unprotected 2033 pick. He said, "We feel very comfortable with all aspects of the trade." Gregory did flex that the Suns will have a first round pick 7 years in a row. He cited changes in the draft lottery that changed the value of picks. And so that was my initial reaction the day that the trade went down, was that the Suns think that first round picks are going to be a whole lot less valuable with the new lottery system, and that they believe that as long as they're trying to win, they'll be able to field a team that's competitive enough to stay outside of the lottery most years, like they were able to this year. Now, that's a long time, and Devin Booker is going to be really old in 2033, and they're going to need a new superstar player to be able to carry them to a playoff level of play. And it's really hard to find those guys or trade for those guys if you don't have your own picks and if you don't draft guys high in the draft. And so the fact that the Suns don't have much pick control, or at least don't have the ability to get into the lottery very easily over the next 7 years, is something that is scary as a fan, because they're betting that over the next 7 years they're not going to be in the lottery, which we're going to find out really quickly how true that is. And so I think overall, like I said before, the Miles Bridges situation, I would have rather just kept Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen and kept the 2033 first and tried to trade for someone else other than Miles Bridges, and that's because of the off-court stuff. But on the court, I think this team got better this offseason with Bridges. And if Brian Gregory is right that Bridges can be a good spot-up three-point shooter, and he is going to be a good playmaker, and he is going to play hard on defense, I think it's a great basketball fit for what the Suns are looking for. And going forward, this is going to be the legacy of Brian Gregory. Like, if one trade defines Brian Gregory as a GM, it's going to be this trade, because of everything involved with trading an unprotected pick, trading for a guy who has domestic violence issues in his past, trading for a guy who has never been to the playoffs, and hoping that this guy is the one that can push Phoenix into upper playoff level contention. It's a pretty big gamble on a guy that has all of these issues and that really hasn't proven himself as a playoff level player so far in his career. So it's mixed feelings about Miles Bridges being here, and it's going to be a story for a long, long time. And so hopefully the circus around Bridges can go away. And it was good that he got up in front of a microphone and didn't shy away from any questions. Could he have done better? Yes. Do I hope that the Suns bet right on this guy? I absolutely do. And I hope that he goes out there and proves all of us wrong. He's a spectacular person in the community. He becomes a spectacular husband and father to his kids, and moving forward, I hope that he is the I hope he is I hope he is what he says he is, which is a great person on and off the floor. And if he does that, this will be a great trade in Phoenix Suns history, and if not, it's going to be an absolute disaster. All right. The Arizona Cardinals reported to training camp on Wednesday, July 22nd, and there's 3 storylines that I'm watching for throughout this entire training camp. Here we go. First, do the first round picks look like first round picks, and are they going to play like first round picks this season? So, the first round picks in Monty Austinfort's tenure are Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Love, Walter Nolan, Darius Robinson, and Paris Johnson Jr. Darius Robinson is the lone guy who was picked at the end of the first round. And so I hold him in a little bit of a different category than the other 4 guys. But I need all 5 of these guys to look like first round picks. They all need to be starters at the end of training camp. They all need to be the number 1 players at their position, except for Darius Robinson. He's not better than Josh Sweat, but hopefully he's in this on the starting defensive line. The Cardinals need Marvin Harrison to be wide receiver 1. They need Jeremiah Love to be wide receiver, or to be honestly option number 1 on offense as the lead running back. They need him to be an explosive, exceptional running back, just like he was at Notre Dame. Without Calais Campbell back in the fold for the Cardinals this year, they need Walter Nolan to be the disruptive force that he showed he could be last year when he was healthy. Overall, for Nolan, they just need him to be healthy more than anything else. They need Darius Robinson to turn into an elite edge rusher. They need him to be able to at least have one NFL skill that at least makes him worthy of picking up his 5th-year option. And they need Paris Johnson Jr. to become one of the best, if not a top 5 left tackle in football. We're going to see with those 5 guys. It's those 5 guys. If those guys can become franchise cornerstones for the Arizona Cardinals this training camp, then the Cardinals are in a good spot. Whether or not they go 3-14 this season or they go 7-10, if those 5 guys can all have a good training camp and use training camp to boost themselves going into the season, that is going to be great news for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the next storyline I'm watching for is, what does the right side of the offensive line look like? So we have 2 position battles right now for right guard and right tackle. Right guard, it's Chase Bisontis versus Isaiah Adams. Isaiah Adams was just arrested on gun charges, but still reported to training camp in Arizona. So it's the rookie versus the veteran who has some ongoing legal trouble right now. And then at right tackle, it's Elijah Wilkinson versus Josh Fryer. The Cardinals signed Wilkinson this offseason to be their starting right tackle. So hopefully there's not really a position battle and he just goes in there. He wins it from day one. And if he can be a solid right tackle on this offensive line, it means that the Cardinals have a really good offensive line, which opens up a lot of things that they'll be able to do on offense and score a lot of points. It means that Jeremiah Love is going to be able to run the football effectively. and the Cardinals won't have the worst rushing offense in football. It will mean that they'll be able to protect whoever's at quarterback, whether it's Carson Beck, Jacoby Brissett, or Gardner Minshew, in the pocket and let those guys find the weapons downfield. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Michael Wilson. If they're able to block, it's going to help the Cardinals score a lot of points this season and be in honestly every single game this season. Which if they have a really good and explosive offense that Mike LaFleur is able to work around, then this Cardinals team, they're probably not playoff bound just because they're in an extremely difficult division and they have one of the hardest schedules in football. It's a lot to overcome to expect them to make the playoffs, but they could easily win 6 or 7 games this year if this offensive line turns back into one of the best offensive lines in football. And then, of course, the last storyline that everyone's going to be watching is, what does this Jacoby Brissett contract holdout look like? How ugly does it get? Do players in the locker room pick sides? Do they say, hey, Jacoby, we need you? Like, just sign what the Arizona Cardinals are offering you? Or are they a team Jacoby, like, hold out for money? We're okay with it. How does the locker room react? How does Mike LaFleur handle it? Because it's his first season as an NFL head coach. And so how he handles these kind of contract holdouts, how he handles the locker room, how he handles his quarterback room going forward is going to be really important. And it's going to set the tone for how he runs the team for the foreseeable future. Hopefully he's here a long time. Just hopefully he's the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. And we got one of those guys in the desert in Arizona. So, and then along with Jacoby Brissett, like, how does Gardner Minshew and how do Carson Beck perform if Brissett's in a holdout and he's not participating in practices? How does that look? And then it was reported by Ian Rappaport recently, the day before training camp, so on Tuesday, that the Cardinals were and are in agreement with Jacoby Brissett that he does deserve a raise. And so it's good to hear that the Cardinals aren't saying, no, Jacoby, we don't want to give you a raise, because I think that'd be dumb. If you say he's a starter and there's not a position battle going forward, then you have to make him the highest paid quarterback on the team. Now, what Jacoby's asking versus what the Cardinals are asking, I'd be really interested to know exactly what the numbers are both ways. And it feels like that it's probably just going to end with Brissett signing a number closer to what the Cardinals are asking for, because they do have some leverage. Seen people say that the Cardinals should just get rid of Jacoby and go to Gardner Minshew and go to Carson Beck. If the Cardinals decide to do that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think it's a really bad look for the organization for how they've handled the quarterback room this offseason, if that's ultimately the conclusion that they come to. I know business is business, but the Cardinals need to improve their image as a franchise and become one of the better run organizations in football and show that they care about their players. Like, they don't even treat players' families all that well as an organization, is what a friend of mine told me. And the Cardinals organization has a lot of improving to do and has a lot of things that they have to do better to become honestly a respected organization in the NFL. And them doing this contract holdout thing with Brissett, it just continues to show the ineptitude that is this Cardinals organization. And hopefully they can get it settled soon and this topic can go to die before the weekend's over. And that the Cardinals can just plan around trying to be competitive with Jacoby Brissett for the first half of the season. And if it goes the way all of us think it will, which is not very well, then turn the keys over to Carson Beck and see what you have. Maybe Gardner Minshew comes in and plays really well too. Like we'll find out with this Cardinals team. As far as Cardinals expectations right now, I look at this offense and I think that there's just, as long as they have competent quarterback play, whether that's Jacoby Brissett or someone else, I think this team is going to be a surprise team a few Sundays in the NFL where you're like, wow, I can't believe the Cardinals went toe to toe with the Seahawks and got a win at home. Or I can't believe that they went on the road in the AFC. I can't believe they went on the road and got that win. I can't believe they beat the Chargers in game 1 of the NFL season. I do believe that the Cardinals are going to get a few of those kind of games this season. And so if you had to ask me right now, I believe this Cardinals team goes 6-11 or 7-10 this season. They're still probably picking in the top 10 of the draft, but I think this Cardinals team has enough on offense where I think they're going to be explosive enough to win a few games that people aren't expecting. That's all for the Cardinals. If you've watched this live stream or are listening to this podcast, please like and subscribe, comment, share it with an Arizona sports fan that you know, and look for us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I will see you on Monday for the next installment of the AZ Sports Podcast. Go Suns, go Diamondbacks, go Cardinals, and Diamondbacks, let's crush it on this road trip. All right, let's get it done. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch the full podcast version, there's a playlist right here that you can click on. If you want to watch more videos, you can click over here. And please remember to always, always, always like the video, comment on the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We're all there all the time. So please follow us. Please continue to support the AZ Sports Podcast. And I will see you on the next episode.